James King here, writer for Higher Ed Digital Magazine, HEPMA board member, co-host of Ask the Programmer. Google me, you'll find me, and you are watching and listening to AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert, coming at you from the great state of New Jersey, where I am with Rutgers University and HETMA and Higher Ed AV. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life. Yeah, we're a little short on crew tonight, so it's just James and I, but I brought in big guests, big level guests, and that's not even, that's personality wise and that's size wise.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, Lisle Waldron is here with us tonight.
Big
My
L, what's up,
yeah,
gentlemen?
how are you?
I cannot complain. Life is good. Once I see the team, I'm always happy. Shout out to every HETMA member everywhere. I'm happy when I see HETMA folks.
Oh, this qualifies as a HETMA takeover then too. There you go.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it
Maybe.
is.
I guess so. I don't know, James. What do you think? Do you think this qualifies?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? HETMA takeover for right before the holidays.
There you go.
So yeah, we got, I think everyone's getting in their last little bits of travel right before the holidays. I know I was speaking with Gina Sansevero the other day, and she was saying that she just finished her last bit of travel, which I know she's been all over the place. Renee is traveling today. Nancy's traveling, and we all know the rest of our crew is just always busy no matter what. So, and
Yep.
I know James,
I was saying I don't have a life.
No, well, I was going to say you were going to be a game time decision. You made it though, so
I mean, again, because I have no life, I guess.
Oh, join the no lifeline. I'm in there with you. I'm in there with you.
I was going to say I've been literally home like 90% of today, and now I did start my CTS training today, so I'm very happy with that. And
hey,
shout out to our VIXA instructors today who are leading that course, and there are about 30 of us that are underway. So that's, 30 more CTS holders that are going to be coming through in the next couple months. So, or hopeful. We're going to keep our fingers crossed for that.
Oh, you got this. You got this. You got this.
Well, I will say you have though, when you're in a room full of other people that do the things that you do, and it's not just higher ed, although there are a lot of higher ed in this group, and I was very happy that I had some community college folk, I had private school, and there were public universities as well. So I will say the higher ed showing was awesome. And I couldn't help but kind of like second guess some of the things that I was, we were going through some of the questions, like we were started doing some sample questions just to kind of get an idea of what was going to be on the test. And I second guessed myself on a couple of things that I was like, that after the fact, I was like, I should have just gone with my gut. Like my gut was right. And I'm listening to the other guys, and their thought process was not wrong. But when you're taking the test, and for those of you who might be thinking about doing CTS and any other standardized proctored exam like this, they're not trying to trick you with the questions, but what they're trying to get from you is the best possible answer. So some of the answers are probable and are good answers, but they're looking for the best answer. And then my brain, I've been doing this long enough that I shouldn't second guess myself. So that's my day 2 goal for training, is to not second guess myself. So by the time you hear this on Monday, though, I would have finished 3 days worth of training. So we'll see.
I mean, here's the good news, the upside. This is the glass half full. These are the days to second guess yourself. Today, tomorrow, and the day after are the perfect days to second guess yourself. When you reach the exam, you go with that gut. You go with that experience, you go with that practice. That's not the second guess day. But I think this augurs well for us in higher education. I say us, yes, even though I'm on the islands, we all train up there, right? So the good news is this: for many, many years, small schools, community colleges, and the rest, they have allowed, for better or for worse, integrators and vendors to be their guiding light in the CTS AV forest, perhaps. And it would seem from your telling that there are more persons in the higher ed vertical that at a minimum, Tim, would like to take stewardship and ownership of this witch's brew called AV. AV is an interesting, subset of the IT tech stuff. We are finding our standards. We're finding our regimented ISO things. We're finding all of those things. And of course, fortunately, Avixa has been the driving force behind that for a while. But it's good to hear that uptake is coming on our side. What it means is if your school's not big enough to do the installs yourself, you can have somebody shadow that integrator, make corrections, ensure that things are done to our code, ensure that things make sense, and have a general sense of when something's not right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call the name of the school in New York that got a processor and a DMPS, because the DMPS is the switcher and the CP3 was the processor, wink, wink, and the integrator made a lot of nice money. Right. So now we finally have, that process under an Avixa that could really help higher ed take it to the next level, which is, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So we were doing like breakout groups, and one of the members in my group is higher ed, and he had mentioned he is the IT quote unquote side of things, but he also recognized that there were standards for AV as well. And that was part of the driving force, he said, for coming to get his CTS, is to recognize those standards. And I will say that Avixa instructors did make a point that when they were talking about higher ed, that it was brought up as like a passing point, was that they're a little bit different. They do things different, and that they're recognizing that the things we do, that not only are we the end user, but we are also the install or the integrator.
Yes.
We're the,
Yes.
and I made sure to put that in some of the chat things that we were discussing too. I was like, it's like, it's not just, we're not just here as a client. We are also, we want to be knowledgeable, and we're here and we know. So, cause there are integrators on this, in this training as well. And I think there was one manufacturer as well, but I don't know who they were representing. So that was the interesting part.
They kept it on the DL. That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. Hey, I got 5 more days of half-day training to figure out who it's going to be or who they're with. So
oh, James, the haves and the have-nots. Here I am in Trinidad wishing that I had, and there he is going that the haves and the have-nots. Life is sweet, isn't it? Yes, it is. I have to say I'm looking forward to Avixa's network cert though. I really, really am. There was a point in my life where I started CCNA and I did like my first 2 classes, and then I had to fly to the States for something. I think it was UB Tech or Infocom back in the days, and I never went back to finishing it. But it's so important now that we really get our network chops up on that side. So hopefully there's also going to be a meeting of the minds in the higher ed space where you have those IT units that have those competencies and are able to share that with the AV teams or the AV subs on those tech teams, who will then balance it out by showing them some of this witch's magic called AV and HDMI and EDID and all of these other HDCP and all these great acronyms that cause the world of stresses and problems on a forum near you. Pick your forum, Poison, but it's all the same from Reddit to Hetma's forums. People are like, when I connect this HDMI source to this thing, I'm just seeing a black square. What now? Welcome to our lives. It's life of the black square.
So James, what's I feel like you're always doing some sort of training, you're learning something. What's your current situation on training, out of curiosity?
So what training am I doing, or what my thought process on training is?
Well, let's go with what you're training, what you are currently pursuing, because I know I feel like you've always got something lined up, and I applaud you. I've applauded you for that for years. You've spoken highly of, and you have shown it, and in what you do, that you are always learning, and you are always making yourself better as a manager, as a AV person. You keep doing more and more. So I'm always curious to see what your next venture is.
So a couple things I had going on is and this is more a little kidding around, is I almost finished all my BIAMP
Wow.
certifications.
Wow.
I've gone through all the online, even the server one,
Right.
but you have to submit what they call the riverboat project. And I
Mm.
was about 3 hours into that project when my laptop was stolen. That had the
Oh
project.
no.
So I haven't started that up again. But I have completed all the online training for that.
Mhm.
Um, I just completed the Restaurant 101 programming. I
Hey.
did the entrance exam for the 201, passed that, and I will be taking that in February. No, not
Hmm.
February. I'll be taking that soon. And then there's another Restaurant one that I'm signed up for as well to take. Um, so I got that going on. I just completed the UNLV's, they call it the MTA, which is Management Training Academy. It's
Hmm.
an 8 weeks course. So it's 1 day a week on Friday for 8 weeks where they go over different management topics. Um, you have to complete that course, you have to attend 6 of the 8 sessions. I did 7 of the 8. The first one I was at
Hmm.
ETC, so that was a good one. Um, so I really got to get back onto a couple of training. The CTS is still in my back pocket to do. I just haven't pulled the trigger. I've looked at the Avix network one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. I don't know if I want to be part of the beta.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the only where I'm
Mm-hmm.
hesitant. Um, but I definitely think it's helpful. So yeah, as Tim says, I'm definitely always about learning, looking at new avenues, and wherever I can.
Hmm. Very cool.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
So yeah, and so that's something that I was talking to my wife about it like today. There's a lot of free things out there. So
Mm-hmm.
don't that yes, I
Mm-hmm.
am very fortunate that I am able to sit down and take the CTS training course that Vix offers. I know it's not cheap, but it's been
Don't
years that
remind me.
I've
So
you know, I've put in, I've found all the free things. I've done a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
free
Mm-hmm.
things,
mhm.
and because the budget, but now we had an opportunity to do it, so we struck at it now.
That's
So
so
sorry,
cool.
James, you were saying?
Yeah. So that actually brings up a good question. I know this
Mm-hmm.
was posed on AV and AM a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
I'll ask both of you here, 'cause especially we're both in higher ed and we're all about education, is how do you view education, the professional development? Do you feel your schools, let's just put it that way, should pay for it and give you the time off to attend those? Or do you feel it's something that you should do on your own?
Hmm.
I I feel like if it pertains to your job and to your performance and to make you a better employee in some way or another, it should be subsidized, however you want to, by your employer. I feel like now, obviously, if I'm doing AV and I'm gonna want to go and pursue being an opera singer, then that's on me. Uh, but and you should get the time for that as well, and that I think that also includes preparation, because some of the things that they asked for before the start of this was to make sure you completed the AV math portion
Mm-hmm.
online. And that's not a quick, sit down. I mean, you could probably sit down like for a full day and do it, but that's not the reality in our world. And that's part of why it's only a half day of training online, is because they know they can't keep everybody all day like they can at Infocom. When you're at Infocom and you're getting this training, you're sitting there in a classroom for 8 hours for
Yup.
3 days. You know, that's different because you're away from your location. In this case, they understand it's virtual. And I managed, I got the blessing from my boss to take the time during, the last couple weeks to kind of chip away at the AV math portion. Um, I've got I got pages of notes in my my notebook here.
Tim, you could have
Just
reached out, buddy. I would have helped you out. I'm a math nerd. Come on.
oh no, it's not even. It's not. It's funny. I'm actually pretty good with math, so I don't
Sweet.
mind the math. I don't mind the math. It's just it's funny. Really my notes are more of just running the equations over and
Yes.
over and over again, because
Yes.
that's what you basically need to do.
Practice. Math is
You need to
practice.
practice. Math
Yes.
is practice. Yes.
As we say
Um,
in the British
and it's
system, it's doing. Yes.
so if you're going to be coming into AV and you think back to those times in high school when they said, you wondered why you were learning algebra and like
Yep.
trigonometry and things like that.
Yep.
This is the moment that you need that those math
Yeah.
skills for.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, I've used more algebra in the last like week than I think I have in the last 25 years since I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, hold on. I finished pre-calc in college after my first year. So let's say 24 years, 23 years.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
So, um, so yeah, I've used it more. I've used algebra and all that a lot more and a lot, but, yeah, it's taking the notes and everything like that. And it's so, but
That's
yeah,
dope.
I've been fortunate to be able to take the time that I needed to prep for this
Yeah.
class. And
I
I
mean,
know it's not the same from institution to institution. My
about to say.
prior employer in higher ed did not. Like, I was actually not even aware that there was a CTS. I didn't know about the larger AV tweep world that was out there. And it wasn't until I got to Rutgers that, things,
Yeah.
opened up for me.
Yeah.
So, but so go ahead, Lyle. What
Oh no,
about
so
you?
James, I'm literally Tim's doppelganger in this regard. I'm the reverse of that. So my old university, I did not know what Infocom was. And I remember my former dean of the faculty, I think he was sending the then land administrator to Infocom. He had gone like the year before. And I think the dean was just wise to realize, you know what, let me send the AV guy. The IT guy did not really come back with things that I want to discuss. So I actually did not want to go. I distinctly remember this. It was like a Friday. I was like 4 o'clock. Businesses are closing, and he's like, "You're going." I'm like, "I don't want to go." And it's like the next day, right? James was crazy. So it ends up like travel agency because it's that long ago. They stayed open for an extra hour to get me my ticket and blah blah blah, and I fly out the next day, and my eyes just are blown. So at that institution, I would safely say they were very big on professional development across the board. I think Tim hit the nail on the head. Obviously, if you it's unrelated, an institution could make a decision as to how they want to sponsor that in what capacity and to what percentage. So you want to go learn opera to keep the example going. Okay, James, we will subsidize you half off of the bachelor's level, or whatever it is, and you're going to be committed to stay with us for another 4 years on your contract. So just as a disclaimer, my MBA is generic, but I actually did all my HR courses. Technology and math was easy for me, but people was not. So I really wanted to study the HR side. There are a ton of theories and theses and data on this. Obviously, organizations that see professional development as being valuable are usually the ones that succeed and profit more or are more efficient, all of the rest. I've transitioned. I'm at a different institution now for some time now, for like 10 years. And while in our negotiations, it was discussed, I have to say it that way because I didn't get it in writing, that there would be some means and measures taken for my professional development and training. It's never come to fruition. So that brings me to the second half of your question, James. Is it our responsibility? I would want to suggest, if this is a space, this is a vertical that you intend to make a career, you intend to master and become master of your domain. You want to be a James, you want to be a Tim, you want to be a Joey. You got to start somewhere, and it's going to require you as an adult, as an individual, to determine, find out, put some pressure on your employers to see what they will, go for. But what they don't, you have to make some decisions and go with it. So in addition to all of the things that you just went through, I did P101 as well. And then I never got around to submitting my 201 just because like a million things happened. Those are things that I found on my own. I mean, I got to say thanks to my former rep, Bill Strupp from Crestron. He helped me with some of the Crestron stuff. But once I was aware that like I could get Crestron training, I just started looking at every manufacturer after that. And I was on me. As I've said a million times, For y'all to train, sometimes it's a flight or a train or a drive. For me to train, it's 4 hours minimum flying time plus a trip through CBP. CBP is never fun when you're me. It's never fun. I've seen the insides of Miami's airports in ways that y'all don't even want described, right? So, the onus has been on me for over a decade now. And unlike the average person that y'all may speak to up there, for me, you're talking about, in addition to whatever the cost of training is, you're talking about 9 times out of 10, airfare, car rental, hotel, per diem. So for me to do NVX training, because I had committed a design in my aviation campus that I could not get away from. And this was like the launch month of NVX. It was really, really super early on. I paid to go to New Jersey at Crestron's headquarters and do the 3-day training. It was not easy nor cheap. My exchange rate is 7 to 1. So you do the math. Exactly. Yeah, there comes James wins. James goes, oh my God. Yeah, it's worse than you could think, right? Like when you'll see me next year in Vegas, it's like, oh my God, he's committed to the cause. Like I'm that guy who James committed to the cause. But yeah, I think on both ends, it is important at the organizational level, but you have a professional, personal question that you need to ask yourself. You maybe need to consult with your family, your wife, because it's going to take time from her. It's going to take resources away from the family. It's going to slow things down. That deck that you wanted, you may have to postpone it to next summer. That swimming pool that you really wanted for the kids, it may get backburned till later in fall, and you're not going to be able to use it until maybe end of spring. But those are questions that I think are important, but I think they're too geared to the individual, James. The individual has to know. But let's go just broad. Should your employer? Yes. Yes. If your employer, I see myself as a buffer and a gateway between my university and my external suppliers and integrators. If I did not exist and I did not know what I knew, we get proposals every day for all kinds of stuff. Smart classrooms, this, that, you name it. And the mere fact that I have those letters at the back of my name, CTS and then CTSD, that CTSD was a big one because I think I'm one of 3 people in the Caribbean who's CTSD certified. The other 2 own Caribbean integration companies. So they're very careful when they send stuff, my way. They're very, very careful because they know they just can't, just floss through things. So important, yes, but still a very huge individual decision, IMHO.
I agree. I mean, my stance is, Tim mentioned earlier, I'm always about learning. So yeah, I think it's great when work can pay for it. And I was fortunate enough, both my jobs were good on professional development. So that was always great. But I also come under the notion of, if you're not willing to put in the work yourself, why should the business do it?
Agreed.
Yeah. So like Tim said, taking advantage of these free online training. And now I'm a manager and I got to sit here and look at my team and be like, okay, all these free trainings out there, you're well aware of these, but you're not going to take advantage of these. But hey, you want me to send you an Infocom? Why?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The demonstration's not there. Agreed.
Yeah. So it's definitely, I am becoming a little more aware of that. And let me be full disclaimer here is not, my team has not done this. It's just, this is things as a manager now I'm running. I've always done this, but as a manager, I also do this a little more, is I run both scenarios through my head. I like to play the devil advocate and also all the good things, like what can really go well, and then what can really go bad. And I like to try to play both sides of things. And also to what Lyle said is about the whole business paying professional development is key for businesses. And if the ones who are doing it are thriving, it always reminds me of the little cartoon I seen where it's 2 upper management people talking. And one of them is like, what if we send them to training and they leave? And the other one is, what if we don't and they stay?
Correct.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I mean, but
and that's
again,
the bigger question.
Yes, it is. It's dead weight. And I mean, again, through the HR lens, the easy ways that can be dealt with. And I think often because you hit the nail on the head, James, about being a manager, HR is not that department over there. it's actually everybody in the HR chain, which includes you. So something as simple as that evaluation, it's something that I'm going to bring to you in a pre-performance appraisal phase. I'm going to say, look, James, I'm very keen on getting the team trained up. You never know, you can make it an infocom. But here's how this is going to work. You do have access to this much training from these many manufacturers. If you demonstrate to me a willingness and a continuity in your training and your learning, then by all means, I'm going to go to bat for you with the finance guys to get you to come to Vegas with us. And yes, coming to Vegas is fun, but that's not what we that's the secondary notion on the thing, you know? I think it's important too, Tim, to recognize that all universities, we often confuse goals and intent. So this is something I've had to discuss with my team. Your stated intent may be student-centered, this, that, the third. The vision and mission written down may be that. But you may have an HR head or, you know, a finance guy who's just not with the program. He doesn't see the importance of it. He doesn't think it's that important. And they then get exactly what you just said, James, which is what happens if they stay. Right? Because what kind of workforce are you cultivating if it's one that is in a technology domain but has no current knowledge base, no training, no active, you know, improvement? It is a scary thought.
Yep.
Right. And yeah, and I 100% agree with that. It's shoot, I was gonna go somewhere with that. Oh, totally lost it. I had it. It was sitting here in my head, and then I came up to bat and I swung and missed.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. So the one thing when you're part of a larger organization, though, the budgets tend to be different from division to division to division.
Yep.
So, you know, I hear stories of certain divisions at my university that have tons of money for training. Oh, we're going to send 5 guys to this. We're going to send 10 guys to this. We're doing this, that, and the other thing. And then it's like, you know, then there's my division. And it's like,
Tim division.
Yeah.
What are they doing, Tim? Give Tim money.
Well, the division I'm in, it's not my division. Not yet, at least. That's professional goal there. That's it. Not hostile takeover, just waiting my time, you know.
And you know what? That any good manager is going to realize that, because the first thing day one, like my MBA classes talk about this. Day one on a new job as a manager, you're thinking about your exit.
Yes.
Because you're thinking on to the next step, who's going to backfill you, all that stuff. From day one, you have to start thinking that. Yes, you're building your team. Yes, you do all that stuff. But you still got to think, okay, where are we going? And all that stuff. From day one, you're already moving on to the next step.
Yeah, I don't want to get too HR weedsy, but succession planning is like a big deal for me. It's what allows me to just come to Orlando and take selfies with Tim, because I have a fantastic second in command who I can trust, even if he does not have, like, let's say, my 20 years of AV experience. He can logically get from where we are to where we need to be. And he can do that in my absence on his own, because we've worked together very closely for the past 10 years. We have to see this as a different thing. We have to find that star. You know, we keep complaining there are not enough people in the field of AV, but the people that we do have right in front of us, what are we doing to make them us? That's the second question I always ask myself.
Oh, yeah. And I've always been an advocate for structure that promotes promotion. You know, like that's something that I actually am currently working on, like right now, is something to not redesign, but we need to evaluate what we're doing, how we're doing it, and to be able to put people in positions and create positions that I can take a student tech who's showing great promise. Here's a full-time job for you. It's like, here's an entry-level technician position. We're going to get you your CTS. We're going to do all those things, and we're going to get you trained up so that way you can then, 5 years time, it's like, okay, John Smith is going to retire. Okay, we're going to move everybody up. And maybe if there's not an opportunity, then yes, we bring in somebody from the outside. Or maybe there's a need to have that outside perspective. So yeah, maybe we do need to do that, but the structure needs to be able to be there for the backfill, as you had said. So, and that's not there. It's not really here right now. So
yeah, Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
fondly
that's hard. Oh, go ahead.
no,
Lyle.
go, James. My apologies.
I was saying that's hard to find and
Mhm.
always to cultivate the backfill because one we look at it, we say this in our back channels, we say this on HEPMA, we say this publicly. We never have enough people. No matter
Nope.
what school you look at, you never have enough boots on the ground, never enough people to get the job done. So to actually develop that within your team, to have like what Lila has, and number two, who can take over. And I had this conversation with our associate director of the help desk, like we were talking, and I told her how I asked one of my team members one day during one of our one-on-ones, I was like, what do you need to do your job that if I wasn't here, you could still do your job? And that wasn't the point of, oh, I'm leaving, I'm
Mhm.
looking. It was more of, you should not need to rely on me being here to do
Mhm.
your job. And she was like, hey, that's a great idea. I got to start doing that with my team, asking them that. So you build that training
Mhm.
because they say, hey, I need to go to this training, or hey, I need to know how to do this. That's when you start giving those resources to your team.
Mhm. Mhm. 100%. I fondly recall a story for you. Where I am currently working, I had a member of staff in the department. Some strange reason she got access to a lot of training funds, guys. So I'll never forget there was a year that I applied to go to Infocom. I don't even think it was a Vegas. I think it was a standard 5 hour flight to Orlando. It was not the 7, with a Houston stop and God knows what else. I got my casual no, and I took it in stride because I knew I was going to go to the bank anyhow and run up some credit card bills. But I'll never forget coming back from Infocom that year. I had just met a little company, a little podunk company that nobody heard about called Zoom, or the good old days. And, got us on a Zoom 20 license plan. Could you imagine? So that we could do some testing for a year. And I got it like grandfathered in at a number that I'm not going to say. It's really, really, really low. Let's just put it that way. Right. Because we're still paying it now, hundreds of licenses later. And I came back with like this whole thing. And yes, it wasn't like a presentation, but I'm like, okay, so I got this, I got this, I got this. Not remember, James, I'm not asking for reimbursement, right? I'm just coming back and I'm
Yep.
reporting. I'm saying, hey, James, these are the options we have. We're currently, having problems with video. I don't know if you remember that company back in the days, VIDYO. So we could shift over to this new company, Zoom. The other member of staff comes back from her trip to Singapore, and there were a ton of really pretty pictures of her taking selfies and pointing out buildings and shaking some random academics' hands who I have no idea who these people are. She's retired, she's gone, she's no longer with us. And the value to the investment for the organization is in a memory, in her heart.
Yep.
In her
I-
heart.
yep.
So be careful, guys, when you put those limited dollars. You never know. You never know.
So actually, it's funny enough that you mentioned that, Lyle, because I heard this the other day, and I can't recall where I heard it, but and not to name drop or anything here of manufacturers, but I hear what Crescent does for at Infocom,
Mhm.
especially with the new people they bring, the day or two before they get there, they bring the new people in, sit them down, and show them the budget and say, this how much it costs us to send you to Infocom.
Jeez.
And break it down. And then they're
Jeez.
like, this is why you are not partying. This is why you have to be on the floor. This is why you
There you
need to
go.
be doing what you're
There you
doing,
go.
because this is what we're paying to have you there.
This is the investment that is going to give us business continuity and make sure you have a job in like 2 months. So yeah, I mean it's a tough slog, especially where budgets are for most schools right now. But I think because of that balance that you spoke about, James, I think it could be done. Yes, we have access to a ton of free manufacturer certifications. I am sometimes taking classes with manufacturers that I know I have no reach to in Trinidad, but the underpinning fundamentals of what they're teaching are, industry cross-platform. So like
Yep.
you went through your list in front of me. The one non AV thing I have is I want to do ITIL. I've wanted to do that for a couple of years now, just because.
Same here.
Yeah, my
That's on my
background is actually like I have an associate's degree in IT, a bachelor's degree in comp sci. I used to do like Oracle 10G programming. So I'm an IT person because of the spectrum, but I'm an AV guy because I love it. Or I'm because somebody said that today. Shout out Tim. and the AV Week podcast people, he had a guest on who said, well, yeah, you know, all us AV guys are really just field DJs. Right, Tim Albright, right, Tim? So he's like,
Yeah,
and he said it, and I
I hear that.
laughed. I laughed so much. If you go back to that convo you and I were having about DJing, right? He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
AV guys, we just all field DJs. So yeah, there you go. But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah. I was just saying because just to fill everybody in, when we first started talking, like if anyone knows Lyle knows he's an incredible DJ.
hey,
Yes.
If you haven't heard him spin yet, come to Infocom.
oh,
Come
Vegas
to
is gonna be litty.
in
Let's get it.
Vegas. Come to the Hetmo booth.
Woo,
It's gonna be rocking.
woo.
But one in a previous career potential choice that I had, I considered being a disc jockey, like more of like your morning show podcast.
It's Tim in the morning.
It's Tim in the morning. DJ TJ. It's like well actually
It's
that was
DJ TJ.
and actually shout out to DJ TJ, who is the arena DJ for the New Jersey Devils. And I was so happy to see that. And when I found that out, I was like, that's awesome. And I'm a TJ too. I'm Timothy James. That's me. But anyway, so yeah, that was kind of like one of my things. Like I love music and the student life at NJIT had one of those like DJ booth type things, and like I would, I don't do what you do.
Well,
I create a playlist, and I like these are the songs I like to let everybody else listen to. You know, it's like so. Yeah, radio DJ was kind of my thing.
So
yes.
so here,
Go ahead.
quick
Yes,
fact, quick fact in that vein, Tim. So I worked on our version of Z100 in Trinidad for like years. So this is standard pop rock Ariana Grande. This it's exactly what you're talking about. I used to do that, like, it's Mr. C with you. It's just about 15 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. That was the voice of Ariana Grande, blah, blah. So I used to do that like every day. It was so much fun, though. I miss that stuff. But yeah, so we just all failed DJs at heart, guys. Let's be honest. We were the kids who were playing with XLR cables in high school, and and then we morphed into
Not me.
Oh, James,
Nope.
no, you were what, a programmer? How
I
did you
was
get into
IT.
this?
I was a strictly IT. I did not like. I'm not. I tried the saxophone when I was in like third grade. Didn't do it. Like music was not my thing. I did not want to be a DJ. Like that was not. I was IT. I wanted to be a network administrator. That was my goal.
Really? That makes sense.
I was going through the whole notion. I was hired at the help desk, and I was doing a lot of things. I was hired as a network person, doing telephones and stuff. And all of a sudden, one day, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're now academic computing, and here's this thing called AV."
Oh, that makes sense now. Why you train up? Because you didn't inherit this. You came to it.
Yep.
Right. I've been in higher ed as a vertical from day one. My actual first job was a secretary, believe it or not, like answer the phone, do the files. And I remember my boss complaining I spent more time, James, helping out the chief technician in the lab with the computers have been on my desk. Mind you, fun fact, to this day, if I go back in the office, the filing system is still the same one I came up with. Right. So I'm proud of that. I did it well. But yeah, that's how I actually shifted over into AV stuff, like lugging around 32-inch sharp televisions and learning how to do the knee kick where you raise your knee up and put the TV on your knee and then kind of open the door handle. Anybody if you know, right? Lifting that JBL 615 powered box onto that tripod, to get that PA going, get those XLRs running. So like I came into it like that the whole time. So it's actually quite funny. But it makes so much sense though, James. Welcome to the not dark side.
And
Welcome
that's
to the
why
other
I
side.
was, and coming from where I came from, that's why I was really baffled about the lack of standards.
Yes, yes.
I remember I was wiring up XLR from bare wire to the connector because we were going to our system, and I come from IT, kept 3 cable, kept 5 cable, kept 8 cable. It's all the same 8 pairs, all the same color. Doesn't matter who you get it from. I kind of open an XLR cable. I'm like, okay, here's my hot, here's my ground, here's my common. Great. I open up the next one. I'm like, wait, the colors are different. What the hell? Then I open up another one, and it's like, wait, what? Like, this is not fair.
Oh Lord. Welcome to the other side. It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's just about 20 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. This is the TJ Show. That's
There
how
you
we go. Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing, but it makes so much sense though, James. I see you. Welcome to the other side. That is so cool. That is so cool. Fun fact, I didn't think I was going to be an AV guy. When I was 7, I wanted to be a pilot, to be fair, because my mom used to work for the airline. So had you told 7-year-old me, you're going to be an AV guy, I'd be like, what?
Yep,
What is
same here.
that?
I was not a pilot. I had weird things I wanted to be. One, oddly enough, I wanted to be a cross-country truck driver.
What? Well, easy states. I could
Yes.
see that. That is
I
actually
could see
something.
that.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Yep.
I can see it.
And then another thing I wanted to be, which my health wouldn't allow me, so I never pursue it. But I actually wanted to go into the military, and I only had one area I wanted to be. I wanted to be a Marine sniper.
You want to be a Marine?
Ooh, the
Marine
sniper.
sniper. I want to be a sniper. And I had asthma and health. I just knew I couldn't go through it. So I never pursued it. But I kind of regret, I will admit, I kind of regret not going to the military.
Yeah, I would have done Air Force 10 times out of 10 for obvious reasons. It's obvious reasons. For obvious reasons. Mind you, fun fact, I'm actually too tall to be able to fly. So
Yeah,
they probably won't make me an airman.
Yep.
They would have never done it. Fortunately, drones came into being, so I can sit in a 40-foot container with a joystick in my hand. And I would do it happily all day long. Like, all day
That's
long.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny because actually I'm sitting here thinking and I'm like, well, I started as an electrical engineer as my undergrad. And
Jeez.
yeah,
Wow.
well, yeah, because I thought I wanted to be an engineer because
You're the
I
real
always,
deal, though, Tim. You're the real deal. Triple ET,
well,
electrical engineering technology.
well, that's what, yeah, my
gosh.
dad is an electrical engineer, and
Wow.
with a master's in that. My dad
Holy
is a
grail.
very well educated man, and he's got his master's and undergrad in electrical engineering, and he has
Damn.
his MBA. So he
Woo!
is, yeah,
Shout
he
out to
is all about
Pops.
education.
Shout out to
But
Pops.
so when I went for my undergrad, I started out as electrical engineering. I oddly enough did not like the math part. Like I didn't like the calculus and the
Yeah.
theory. I didn't like that stuff. I loved give me a circuit
Yeah,
board
I was say
and
circuits. Give him circuits.
give me the chips, give me the capacitors. I
Give
will
him some
plug those
diodes and
things.
resistors, and yeah.
Yeah,
Give him a breadboard.
I will burn my fingers with a soldering
Yeah.
iron,
Yeah.
but and I ended up switching to communications and media. But now it's funny, I've kind of come all the way back to the engineering piece, but I got the piece that now I enjoy. I got the piece I was looking for. I could get into a system and pull out some Phoenix blocks and, rewire things. And, I'm tactile when it comes to that. I love that stuff. So
I
yeah,
think that's what draws all, not draw, what keeps us all in AV. Because, like, yeah, I
Yes.
want to be a network administrator, but I fell in love with AV. I love what I do. Yes, now I get to do some network stuff. I get to do programming. I get to do the Phoenix blocks and the hardwire and the installation, like you were talking about, Tim. This is great. And we take what we love and we get to do it every day. And so that's why I think people say in AV, now
Yeah.
we just got to get people to AV in
To
the
AV,
beginning.
yeah. Well, people don't know what they don't know, and I think our greatest strength in AV is one of our greatest weaknesses, which is every day it's something new, even if it's the same. So,
Yep.
like, I had a fun one today. I had a projector down on me. It's an NEC. It's 6, 7 years old, so it's time. The fan's dead. Got to throw it out. So we get the new model version of it and stick it in. Well, somebody, who decided, the engineer on that decided, you know what? We're just gonna switch around all these sources and programming. So, it's no longer just like slot it in, question, configure existing program. I have to go reprogram it in the morning. Why? Somebody's bored. Why not? Let's move 2 things. Let's move 2 buttons, whatever is the case. So it never gets old. It never gets monotonous. It's always new, but that can also scare people because I have like some new people on my team from IT, and ever so often they get so frustrated. They're like, why doesn't it just do the same thing every time? I'm like, because unlike when we were doing IT stuff, that it's all like theoretically virtual. We click something and something happens on a screen. In this, it's real life. When we click something, a relay goes and a motor begins. And depending on who made the motor, it may take 10 seconds, it may take 5, and that has real world implications to what we do. They're like, oh, it's like, yes. So for people who like excitement every day, you want excitement, let me tell you what excitement looks like. The auditorium is packed, the projector just died, there's nothing on the screen, class can't be canceled, it's a 12 class, it's the bottom of the ninth, 2 strikes, and we're down by 1. Tim is on first base, Lyle's up to bat. Can you do it? That is AV in higher ed every day. Every day.
Way I sum up my job, and I know this is not true. I always preference that I know it's not a true way to look at it, but I don't know. Have either of you seen the movie SWAT?
Of course, like on loop. On loop.
Yeah. So you know how when Samuel L. Jackson asked, I can't think of the actor's name, but asked him what he did in the military, he finally answered, if my commanding officer ever said, if anyone knew what we did, we failed.
Colin,
That's
not
how I
Colin
look
Farrell.
at
Colin
yeah,
Farrell.
it
I
might have
think.
been him.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might have
I'm
been.
bad at actor names. I think it's Colin Farrell.
Yeah. But that like how I look at AV. If people know I work in AV, it means there's a problem with the AV and I failed.
I was gonna say, actually, it was funny. One of the quotes that, and I wrote it down in my notes from class today, and it's from
Sweet.
Vix's video.
Sweet.
Vix's video. Where did that go?
Let's get the
It's early
quotes,
on.
man.
I know. I'm flipping through my notes here.
These are better than Call of Duty quotes, which are usually kind of cool, to be fair. So. those cutscene quotes when you die. It's like some profound stuff when you're lying there in a digital.
When it works, you don't worry about it. It's only when it doesn't work, and that if it doesn't, like, if we're doing our job right, when it works, no one needs to worry about it. So if we've gotten the right parts in place, we've gotten the right code in place, when it works, everyone can do their other pieces of their jobs without worry. And that stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, that's like 100% true, because I cannot count the number of times I've gotten a call from a professor that has been like, this doesn't work, I can't teach my class. Like, so yeah, that's I wouldn't say the pressure, but that's the challenge every day.
Every day.
Oh yeah. And I always say that the AV should be a tool. The users should not have to think about it. It should be something that they can do and use for their education. And when I sum up IT and AV to my team, I told them this in one of our team meetings is welcome to IT, where if everything is going right, people question, why am I paying you so much? And when everything goes wrong, people question, why am I paying you so much?
Correct. 100%. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
It's dope. It's dope.
I have to go. Bedtime.
I was gonna say, I think we're actually gonna start wrapping up, because that's almost been 45 minutes, and that
really
was,
well. Then that was a good stop, because James hit nail on the head. That was flawless.
I mean, so continue that education like this. I will, and admittedly, if you got a quick minute, James, like we could just wrap this up. All right, so this is not where I was planning on us going today, but this was an absolute phenomenal conversation. And I think this is a reminder, especially in like at this time of year when in higher ed, because I'm sure budgets are starting to wrap up for the 24-25 fiscal year. So, let's keep that in mind, managers out there, that, if you can get the funding to get the training, to get the right candidates out there, get them out there to the training.
Another thing I'll put out there, because I know I've taken advantage of this as well. Don't be afraid to ask you manufacturers to bring training to you. I've actually hosted multiple training on our building of products and from manufacturer, and other schools came and took advantage. One, it costs you no money. You don't have to pay for travel. You don't have to pay for a hotel and all that stuff. And so it's a win-win for both.
Yep, definitely. And then obviously, if you need scholarship, reach out. HETMA has the Prism Scholarship.
Yes, sir.
Reach out if that applies to you. In a DEI way, reach out and get that scholarship. If you're looking for hardware for your upgrades, there's also the Aurora Scholarship with HETMA. So reach out. The tech managers, that's more for you, for your institutions. If it applies to you, please apply. We do have one applicant who's in already, so they're going to get their equipment. So let's get the
Get the
ball,
rest processed. Let's get the
them
rest
in.
processed.
So hey, Lisle, thank you so much for joining
Hey,
us
no
tonight.
worries, guys. It's always good.
I,
It's always
I
good.
always love having my my tallest man in AV with me here tonight. So, and James, thank you as always for your insight and your leadership. And I just hope everything, just keep it up, James. That's all I have to say.
100%. James got my vote. He's a real MVP.
Yep.
All right. I don't know who you're talking about, but all right, let's go.
James is a real MVP.
Yeah, he is. All right, folks. Well, well, enjoy the rest of your evening or your day or your morning, whenever you're listening to us. And as I always say, until our next adventure.